This is the Zeekr X, the first electric vehicle to be launched by the Chinese brand in Australia. And in this preview, I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of what to expect when this vehicle launches in a few months' time. So if you haven't already, make sure you ring the bell to keep up to date with all of my content, because then you'll be notified when my review of this car comes up. All right, let's get to it. Take a little look at the Zeekr X, shall we? Pricing for this car has not been completely confirmed, but Zeekr Australia has confirmed that they will be offering the entry-level rear-wheel drive model at less than $60,000 before on-road costs, and it will actually probably undercut the Volvo EX30 base model rear-wheel drive. So you can expect less than $59,900, maybe it'll be $59,800. We'll have to wait and see. I'll tell you all about the pricing and specs in more detail later on when I get a chance to drive the car. But then there's also the all-wheel drive version, which doesn't just add extra equipment, it adds heaps more power and torque as well. Same size battery though, so there is a bit of a price to pay there. But I reckon that it does seem to stack up pretty well. On paper at least, it just depends on what the price will be. They've said that the all-wheel drive one will cost less than $70,000 before on-road costs. So it's going to be playing in the thick of it in the electric compact SUV segment from premium brands at least. You reckon the price is good enough? I'd love to know your thoughts. Hit me up in the comments and have your say. It might have a heap of big SUV angry design to it, but it's actually a pretty small car. It's about 4.4 meters in length, and there's going to be 19-inch and 20-inch wheels available. The 19s even have self-healing tires, so if you run over a nail or a bolt, in theory, it should seal itself up, which means that you don't need a spare wheel, which is good because it doesn't come with one. Now, let's have a look in the boot. It's this little button here. And you can see for yourself, you do get a decent amount of space. There's no difference between if you choose the all-wheel drive version or the rear-wheel drive. And there's a storage section underneath the boot floor as well. No spare wheel, if that matters to you. And yes, that is the cargo cover. It does fold away pretty cleverly behind the seats. Now, obviously, I haven't been able to test the load space with a pram or anything like that, but it's going to be family-friendly, I reckon. Now, I'm not going to go through all the nitty-gritty details of this interior right now because I want to save something for the full detailed review, but you can see a few highlights here, right? You've got this massive touchscreen media system. I'll play with it and deep dive into that when I get a chance to. You've also got a Yamaha sound system, which is pretty impressive. There's a smaller digital instrument cluster here, and you can see that little camera there. That's a driver monitoring camera that's checking out my eyes to make sure I'm paying attention. Hopefully it's not too annoying. There's also a head-up display. It's really hard to show how big the head-up display is, but it's like a 24-inch display on the screen with all sorts of information that you might want to know about. I'm loving some of the design finishes on the interior here as well. Now, there are 3 different color choices for the interior as well. And one of my other favorite things about this interior is you've got dual tone lighting. So you've got LED lighting for when you need it to be bright and crisp. And you've also got this lovely dull yellow light, which is like what you might want from a lamp at home when you're reading a book. It's really quite lovely. And all versions come with the panoramic glass roof as well as standard. Now, the seat trim, it is a fake leather finish. And look, for some people that might not be good enough, but I reckon it's a lovely feeling material. And you've also got these patterns on the doors, which you can see there. That's called ice block or something like that. It's got ambient lights behind it, and it can also bop to the beat of your music, which is kind of cool. I can't wait to tell you a little bit more about this car, so make sure you've hit subscribe and rung the bell, and you'll be notified when I do my full review. Yes, you get a front trunk in both grades, in fact, and you're getting a fair amount of power and torque as well. The rear-wheel drive model has a 200 kilowatt and 343 Newton meter output. And if you choose the dual motor version, which obviously adds an extra motor at the front axle as well as the one at the back, you're getting a fair bit more power as well. And obviously, electric cars are pretty fast. I'll put the 0 to 100 times for both versions on your screen now so you can see for yourself whether you think it's going to be quick enough for your needs. I reckon it will be, but let's talk about range and charging, because that might be something you need to consider as well. As I mentioned, there are 2 different versions available. Both have a 66 kilowatt hour NMC battery pack, and there is a bit of a difference in terms of the EV driving range. You're going to see the NEDC or ADR number on your screen now, and that will be maybe pretty impressive, but in terms of WLTP equivalency, there is no number available for the Australian spec models. The Europe spec models do seem to have pretty decent range though. You're looking at the 400 range for both versions. Now, you've got AC and DC charging as you would expect. AC is different between the two different grades, so if you choose the entry-level rear-wheel drive, you got 7.2 kilowatt charging, and if you choose the higher grade all-wheel drive, you get faster charging, but you'll need three-phase power at home as well. I'll put the approximate charging times on your screen now so you can see for yourself, and both come with 150 kilowatt DC charging with the Type 2 combination plug, and that should mean 10 to 80% in about half an hour, which is on par with most of the rivals out there. So there you have it, the Zeekr X. I reckon it could be a really important addition to the electric car landscape in Australia. I can't wait to drive it. I can't wait to give you the final details about the pricing and specs, and a whole lot more like ownership and also safety tech as well. Make sure you've hit subscribe to keep up to date with all of my reviews, and until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.